All right, so I'm gonna record on here too.
Okay.
So this is so we're using Anchor. We're using a GoPro 2, and we're at the Coreal Market.
Yep.
I don't really have much of a structure for this.
Just wing it.
Yeah, so it's just so, like I'll just put a number, like a really easy number 1 there. Just this is the first
one.
the first
Yeah.
technical podcast, right? Because
There we go.
the
Yeah.
other ones weren't filmed. I did 2 recorded episodes, and this one
Right.
will be on recorded, but this will be the first one to go up on YouTube,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Andrew Gardner, Mac's uncle,
Yeah. And-
owner of Mountain View Wasabi.
Yeah.
We grow wasabi. How about that? Here in Vancouver, BC.
It's actually a rare thing to have anybody growing stuff. Like, I don't know a lot of people who are growing anything in their lives. Like most, maybe they have a garden, maybe
Yeah.
they have something, but what you're doing is you actually have a full farm process. Like
Right.
you're doing a huge thing.
Yeah. So I reproduce the plants, and so I sell a lot of plants to other growers and the backyard gardener.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to expand and grow more product to maturity
Right.
for sale. I'm working with a company from Japan as well.
Yeah, you
so-
said you were going over to Japan.
Yeah, I'm going to
quite
Japan
recently.
actually tomorrow. I head over to Japan for 5 days. So yeah, they're
That's
gonna
cool.
teach me some stuff there, and I get to see a lot of how they do some of their growing and processing. So
I just think
really
it's
gonna help.
it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I want to send you over there with money because I do some of the Pokemon stuff. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
but I know you're on a tight schedule this time.
Right.
But maybe
Yeah.
maybe we'll all go over there one of these
Yeah,
days. But
yeah.
it's kind of interesting because the plant that you're growing is really much more widespread in Japan as far as consumership, right? Like, really, there's a lot of consumers roughly in North America, but would you say that there's more, the average consumer in Japan is maybe going to have that in their fridge, or what would you say?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the average. I know that they promote real wasabi over there to the
Right.
younger generation because of the health benefits of it, and even they aren't educated on how good it is for them, even though it's been in part of their culture for hundreds of years.
And just a disclaimer for people that might not know that what you're talking about really is that, like, most sushi places will use a horseradish that's a dyed product.
Right. So the
right?
paste, the little paste that comes with your dish at most places is typically probably at least 90% horseradish and a very small percentage of real wasabi for them to be able to call it, put the wasabi name on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not
okay.
really, you're not getting the health benefits of it because it's horseradish as opposed to
Yeah, you might
a
get
real
some.
wasabi
It's
is
not-
actually
it's-
really good for you.
It's not terrible for you, but like I've had the difference. I've tasted it. You've brought over some wasabi, and
Yeah.
when you have a fresh mash wasabi, you're eating it, or maybe it's a freeze-dried product that you've developed. It delivers a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it does, and it's hard to.
It's very difficult to articulate.
It's hard to explain, and the only thing I can explain is when you buy something that's mass-produced, like a tomato, out of the grocery store, and then you grow one in your backyard.
Right.
The difference is night and day.
You're totally right. Yeah. Like I've
And
had
the
vine tomatoes.
realness, the
Yeah.
realness of it,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, it's spicy hot, but it's different. Just the qualities of it are really good for you, right?
What I'm hearing from you is you're speaking like a grower, right? So when and it's interesting you say that because I hear similar things in the wine business too, or in the hops business, and those types of industries, wherever you're developing a plant and you're the one on the property and you understand the lay of the land,
Yeah.
that product, it becomes its own entity to others. So I guess like wine business, they say, oh, this came from this valley, and they actually like Champagne is a region, and like
Right.
Rhode is a region.
Yeah,
all these
yes.
things are regions,
Yeah.
and you're kind of a pioneer in the regional part of wasabi. Like there's not really many growers here, and if there are, they're doing it at a smaller scale.
Well, there's very few growers
Yeah.
throughout the world other than Japan, and Japan can't grow any more than they are growing right now.
Right.
They're tapped out, and so they actually try to purchase.
Growing potential. Right.
They try to purchase from out of their country whenever they can, because they can't produce enough for themselves.
Right.
And the bulk of the information on the internet sucks. It's terrible on how difficult it is to grow wasabi and different challenges, and some people don't even consider it after reading about it on the internet.
Right.
When that's totally not the case.
Well, maybe you're part of the solution. You got to bring this message out to the
Well,
internet.
I do. I
mean, you've got the information. You're telling me a
Yeah,
lot, and
yeah.
I mean, I would challenge you to put out a little extra.
Well, I
and
do need to start putting more information out there. I've got a couple of small videos that I did years ago, but now there's, a lot of the basic questions people bring to me, and new information that I have to make people realize that they can grow it.
Well, I've heard recently that a lot of people have been having luck on LinkedIn, especially in the health region, because what you can do is you can actually develop, like, say, like a short blog about it, and maybe put, like, it seems to be a zone where people are consuming content that is maybe a bit more targeted, maybe a bit more, maybe it's a bit drier, like you need to read a bit, maybe you've got a few points on stuff, and then maybe a short video. That's a really good venue. And also Instagram is really good, and I mean, like, the plants you're growing are interesting, and I probably should throw up a couple images of actual wasabi, because people don't have a vision in their head.
No, people don't even know what they look like. Yeah.
Like that. Aside from like if you say a horseradish, I can kind of visualize it. But until I saw wasabi, when you said you were starting to grow it and was interested, I didn't know what it looked like.
No, neither did I. Before I started.
and then we
Yeah.
got it, and you brought the plants to maturity, and it's a really wild river plant, and it's got large green leaves and small stalks to a base, and that rhizome at the bottom. That's your fruit, if you will. Or
That's the smoking hot part, but the entire plant has the medicinal properties in it, so you can actually eat the whole plant.
No, I really enjoyed the leaves when you brought them by. It's a real treat in your salad and stuff like that. So, are you? Where do you see this, like, in a few years? Like, what do you think? You got?
Like I said, I'm currently working with a company from Japan, and I think we're going to start working with Agriculture Canada and do some testing on some growing methods.
Yeah.
And so we can narrow down what might be kind of an optimal growing style, whether if it's throughout North America or the world, that then the plants may grow a little faster, better, for the farmer to have a better production, to try to get the prices down, so it makes it more affordable for people to purchase. Because right now
There's
pretty
quite
pricey.
a barrier to entry.
It's
right?
pretty pricey if you can get it. So number one is there's just not enough people growing it right now. The demand is huge. I get inquiries from all around the world almost every week for people to grow it. There's a lot of people interested with small farms or larger farms, and they want to take a small corner and try to grow it. And I've had this for a couple of years, and now people are. The wasabi does take at least a year to grow. Can be anywhere from 12 to 18 months, and now people have had success. They're trying to expand, and now they're wanting to reorder and on a regular basis, so that they have a steady supply throughout the year.
Right.
So it's very encouraging for me to see that people are.
Yeah, you're seeing a developing industry and a developing demand in the product, and also in the development of the back end too, which means that in your role, like, you have some special facilities to, I guess, you've got a bit of a head start on some of this, to be able to maybe help, say, a newer grower come into it and maybe have better success.
Yeah.
Right. So like.
Yeah. Well, I try to, I always ask them how they're going to grow it and different things, and almost every person I talk to, and some of them are dealing with hydroponics and different growing methods, and they're very helpful to me to explain some new technologies, and I can share that with anybody else that's looking at trying to do a similar growing system. And so we all share information, so step by step, I've got information that is improving.
You're bringing value to the community.
Yeah, so that people can be successful.
Right.
It does no good if somebody tries to grow it and it's not successful when there's so many people that are interested in eating the product.
Well, I think this is where this is what I've heard from a lot of people in many different industries, is that most of the problem is how do you connect the consumer to the demand, because the demand is there, and a lot of the consumers don't know, or the availability is not there. So there's a huge upstart when you're undertaking like a new type of plant to grow, to really get it out to the manufacturer, to all the distributors, and get it out to the grocery store, or even if you're just doing customer to customer or business to business, just to get that infrastructure set up, it's a huge undertaking.
There's, like I say, the demand for plants, the demand for mature product. I get the inquiries regularly, and it's just not being produced in the world right now.
And to get a bit more into the end of the plants, because I'm a little curious of, like, is there many like strains of wasabi? Like, is this a plant that's cultivated very?
Yeah, there's I'll say at least 15 strains. It could be closer to 20 now. They're all very similar. They all have the same kind of properties. I carry 4 of them right now. I'm looking at possibly getting another one. And some of the newer varieties that have been developed grow a little faster with the same qualities. So those are the ones that are going to be more preferred now and in the future, because they are going to grow faster. So instead of your 18 months of growing, they're getting down to that 12 months. So that makes a huge difference in farming, right?
Well, the 18 months, that always, to me, when you first told me that, it always seemed like that's a huge barrier to that.
Well, then the expense of tying up that square footage with that crop, you have to charge that much more for the product. So now to get that cost more in line with it can be reasonable.
6 months off the
that's you're dropping a third of your expense.
Sure.
Right? So now you can bring that price down and can make it a lot more reasonable for the consumer.
Well, it's enlightening to hear. I mean, and people don't often hear the, I guess, innovation that's going on in something as slow as, like, say, cultivating wasabi. Right? Like, we're all about the new phone that's coming out.
Everything's
new, and everything's new, and everything's updated. Like we're talking about we're gonna have a new iPhone in 6 months. We just had the last one. And here you are, you're telling me that, well, this plant grows in a year. And you might not have that variety for mass production for another period of time.
Could be another year before it's ready for mass production.
So like, you're talking a lead time of maybe 2 to 3 years right out the gate, and you're just getting into that product, and that's just putting your toes in the water. And it's kind of interesting to hear that, because not many people hear about the development of new strains or what it takes to be a winner in a new strain, and you're really looking at it in an interesting way.
So I'm in contact with people who, they've got connections and people that are very innovative and doing different things, and so that's where some of these can come from. Unless you're directly involved with a big lab facility that's actually doing that, which I guess maybe they're doing a little bit of that in Japan. I don't know, because I'm not directly involved.
Right. Well, maybe you'll start seeing a bit more open up to you as
I've got one strain that no one else has right now, and it's going to be able to be open to the public very soon. And then through someone else, they mentioned another strain that could be very similar, and but they had just got a cutting from it. So now that plant needs to grow to maturity, it needs to seed, then I need to germinate it, and it's going to be another year after that before I can put it up, grow it, and compare it to the other varieties and see what I think of it. In the comparison, is it better? Is
you're
whatever,
talking
right?
about so much time, and I think when people go to the store and they pick up their bag of whatever it is, they don't see this type of time. And I think that grower appreciation is probably a pretty low point right now because not a lot of people actually are farming. Like most of us are working a 9-to-5 job out there, whichever it is, making our buck, coming to the grocery store, and we're picking up that thing, and we want to get in there. And you know what? I'm in and out in 20 minutes, and I've got more produce than maybe an acre will produce, like or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's maybe I'll get a ton of bread. Well, that was an acre of wheat or something. You know, like these quantities versus the time and effort somebody has to put in to develop the product is not really equated. Like we don't really talk about it too much. And it's interesting.
People complain about the prices going up and up and up. But, there's lots go into that, right?
Well, if you really want to affect the price, maybe it's time for some of you guys to get into growing this stuff, right? You're doing it.
Grow some carrots in your backyard and see how long that takes, and to manage it and stuff. Yes, it could be a very good product, but you do a little plot and you eat that up in a week.
It's
like,
you got to eat 365 days.
Well, that's right. So
it is interesting to hear you say that one of your main motivations is actually bringing the price down so the consumer can get into it. So, like you'd think, like with a lot of other products, say I was making guitars or whatever, you'd want to sell them for more money all the time. But what your strategy there is good in the sense that with more accessibility comes more demand. It means more product to be sold. It's this nice kind of cyclical process.
Right. Yes, there's a certain number of people that can afford it right now. Sure. But it needs to be accessible to everybody. Once everybody realizes, like, the health, everybody's looking at healthy products and eating better and living better lives nowadays. This could be a key factor for some people with its health properties.
So what and when you say that, what kind of a health property do you kind of like out of it?
Yeah, so you got your anti-inflammatory product.
Now that's a really big one right now.
That's huge, and anti-cancer.
Anti-cancer.
So it attacks those free radicals in your body, and
and they say like a lot of that might be linked also to the inflammation, and you hear that a lot. And this is one thing a lot of people don't know about the gluten trend. And like some people kind of know, but a lot of the reason the gluten trend started in the first place is because the way the inflammation happens in the body. So a lot of people don't process it properly, they get inflamed. So when you start talking about anti-inflammation properties, that's a really huge health benefit because a lot of people are feeling slow and junky, mostly because their body's
sometimes they got to take medication for it.
Yeah.
Well, if you can eliminate that medication,
or maybe even limit it to 10%, or
or
bring it
exactly,
down.
cut it down, start cutting it down, and you're going to feel better.
Right.
If you can use a natural product over a pharmaceutical product.
Interesting.
Right. So, there's all these things that
So you've got a long-growing plant that has anti-inflammatory properties. You're in development of new, down the road thinking, long-term vision stuff.
Right.
It shows me that there's interest. There's always interesting properties to every venue, and where you're at is the farmer looking at the consumer and you're trying to connect these big ideas.
Right. Yeah.
So I think the biggest one I see is that like the anti-inflammatory stuff. That's got to be up there for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, as other spicy products have, these health qualities as well, and not everybody likes the hot spiciness, but the other parts of the plant, like the leaf and stuff,
Yeah.
have that element in it, and it's not quite as hot and spicy. So most people consume some part of that plant
Yeah.
and get the benefits from it.
Well, it is a very interesting plant. I think we're gonna wrap up this first one.
Yep.
I think we did 20
Okay.
minute.
Perfect.
I really enjoyed this talk.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to maybe come by. Maybe we'll do show some of the plants and stuff, and
Exactly, yeah.
get into it a bit more.
Yeah, showing the product and talk a little bit more in depth about it.
Yeah, and maybe you can come on again. Maybe bring a plant next time.
Yeah.
We'll show it off, and
sure.
maybe
Yeah.
we'll each try a bit.
Exactly. Yeah, you always got to do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, thanks, Andrew.
Oh,
And this
you
is
betcha.
this is the first episode. So
You betcha.
Everybody enjoy and have a good day.
You betcha. All right.